Hello, everybody. Thank you, Michael. Wow, that was fast. I didn't even see the message in chat in
Oh,
OBS.
they didn't put a message. I just didn't want to wait long enough.
Big follows?
I was looking at the users in chat and I was like, yeah, oh, that one can leave.
What if that was just a regular person?
Yeah, what do you know?
How would you know? That he just
Uh,
brutally banned somebody.
Well, okay, so hear me out. If
You
you're
could submit an
intentionally,
appeal. Hi,
What?
everybody.
if you're an account
Wait, are
that's
you
been,
telling me?
if you have an account that's already been suspended or deactivated, normally on Twitch.
True.
What? You're telling me that you don't think Dirty Girl, the account that
No,
was
it's 30
created?
Geary actually.
Yeah.
Oh shit, you're right.
Well, it could be.
The
It could
account
be.
that was made
better.
It could
8 days ago.
It could be a Kirigiri stan. You never know.
They could just be a fan of Onigiri.
Maybe.
Hi guys, welcome Saber Slay. It's summer,
Wow.
Group 2, Episode 6.
I have ice cream.
Group 2 somehow.
We're Group 2, baby.
Two. That went first, and it's gonna finish first.
Yeah.
I mean,
also has
leader number.
ideally, actually,
And also has the number
no,
one opinion.
we will finish technically before the other girls. It's ideally we would sync back up because we'd have to wait to air the final episode, but that's probably not going to be the case.
I don't know if we'll wait long enough for them to catch up if they have the amount of breaks that they're having.
They've only had the 2, but
Yeah, they started late and then took 2 weeks to do their next one.
welcome everybody. If you don't know, we're gonna be spoiling anime. The anime on our list. There's gonna be strong language.
There will be good opinions. There will be
Oh,
bad opinions.
Yeah. Speaking of, let's
Never had one
drop-
in my
overall
life.
quality of
There will be bad
opinions is going to be the overall quality of opinions is going to be better than Group 1's.
Well, obviously. Hopefully.
Here you guys go. I'll drop that in chat and let's swap it on over so everyone can see. These are the opinions for the week. We say we have good opinions. Does anyone?
Oh, Michael! Boo! Like, I'm happy with what you did, but I'm also very annoyed with what you did.
Not top 3 for me, but 2 to 4 was very difficult for me personally.
That's fair.
I agree.
Usually we tend to say the bottom portion's the hard part. This week it wasn't very hard for me. I'll
No.
say. I
No.
thought that was a very easy week. Our lists are fairly similar across the
board.
Across the board with like slight differences between like where Black Company is and whether or not and what we value as our second ranked show. Or third ranked show tends to be where the major differences are. Except for Michael's list. Fuck Michael's list. His list is like very different from all of us in some shape or way. Which is funny to me.
And by the way, Sean, Michael's name is directly on his forehead.
Perfect.
Let's go.
I'm not gonna move that.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, I never have these right because these size screens always change week from week.
Yeah, fair.
Just because I use the same scene for the power ranking.
Mhm.
And I have to adjust how much of the power ranking is shown by how many shows are left. Let's quick before we drop into Vanitas, we can talk about what we've been doing for the week. I've been doing nothing. I've watched 2 episodes of Slime because Michael and I just watched it. Outside of that, I've watched what I needed to watch for the other side of the podcast. So you can hear my opinions about that on the other side of the podcast. Most of that hasn't changed, besides me thinking there's a very well directed scene in Battle Game for no good reason this week. I've not had time to do anything else. I am suffering in a pool of work that is thankfully done, and it wasn't really suffering. But I've been busy enough that I hadn't had time to do anything else. Basically, I've watched everything either yesterday or today, so that's been me.
I watched a bit more Haikyuu last night. I had my birthday on Friday. That was cool.
Happy birthday!
Thanks. I'm a boomer. I'm 24. I also played in a Magic tournament on Saturday where I kind of sad because I won literally one game. I made $400. I lost.
That's funny.
Yeah, I lost the winning in to top 8. So
Big Sag.
big Sag, but it's all right. It was fun. Definitely learned quite a lot. Learned the things that I need to work on. That like learning better lines of play. But overall, I think it was a good time. And then watched Violet Evergarden last night as well with
We got through
John.
episode
John-
8, was it?
9. We finished episode 9.
Whew.
Which,
Uh,
oh,
good.
fuck, which episode is that? I don't know.
That is
after
spoilers. By the way, we're
Yeah, no,
I
I'm,
was-
I'm
I know,
looking
I
up
know.
the episode.
It's after the backstory.
episode 9 is after we get Violet's backstory and
Yeah.
after
Okay.
she's digging in the rubble.
That's not. That's not the. Is that the one with the astronomy group?
That's
It's
way after.
no,
that.
it's way
Astronomy's
after.
I,
That's
wa-
like
I always
4.
forget the order of how far that one is into
It's
the
like
story.
astronomy first, then you have Raider guy
Then
who
you
has a
have-
block,
then you
and then she
the
finds out
couple. You have
about the couple.
N-
I don't
like,
think we got into
the
the couple.
No,
romance
the-
couple. The
no,
We-
the
oh yeah,
that-
the prince and
those-
princess. It's
So it's the drunk dude whose sister wants
Mhm.
whose sister she
Cool.
was in writing school with, and then it's the prince and princess, and
Yeah.
then it's,
astronomy,
and
well,
then it's astronomy.
then playwright, then depression.
oh, wait,
then
so
crying.
no, that's okay.
That's later.
yeah,
Anything else you think of is later?
probably yes.
Um,
God, the end of this show is so good. The end of that show
Dude,
is so
but-
good.
Dude, it's crazy. My
Um,
glasses got all like wet during it. Like I don't know what happened.
I was like sitting there because John was telling me like for the past like 6 fucking months was like, yeah, no, like I got to episode 6 and then I started crying.
Like 6. I made it through 6.
Okay, and I'm like sitting there after watching 5 episodes. I'm like, the show's fine. It's really pretty, but I don't think it's particularly good. And then episode 7 rolls around, and I'm just like, oh.
Oh, the war is gonna cost her an arm and a leg, or 2 arms.
But, what else? I've watched a little bit more Odd Taxi. That show is fucking amazing. I see where all the hype from it came from.
Bruce Springsteen.
What else have I done? I've just been working a lot this week.
You guys sat Michael down and had him watch the end of Kaguya season 1, or were you not
Yeah.
there for that, Mason, when that happened?
No, I was
They-
there
they
for
were both
that.
there.
Good.
Yeah, so
That was
everyone
very
here already
Thank
knows.
you for
He's
doing
like, I need to
that.
finish
on stream.
Kaguya, and I was like, we're finishing Kaguya. He's like, what?
Yeah, like we were watching stuff, and I was like, man, I gotta go to bed. And then
and then we watched
and then we watched
6 episodes of
6
Kaguya.
episodes of Kaguya. And I was like, oh god, I'm gonna be tired tomorrow. I don't care.
I will say,
But
in reference to what Michael and I literally did just watch, in terms of second season of Reincarnated as a Slime, or former podcast member, who was here last season, DJ, has always absolutely talked up Slime to us as being incredible, and how like when we get to the next thing it's gonna be so cool, when we get to the next thing it's gonna be so cool. Season 2 is so fucking good. It's like
Season 2 is real good.
it's I've been planning on watching it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
it's a show that really succeeds at going, yeah, we've incorporated these characters into the story. We're gonna use them. All of them. And it's kind of impressive.
One Piece, is that you?
We had a show that became One Piece this week.
Sean, want to know what's fun to realize? I
Why?
don't think we've seen Rimuru in like 3 episodes.
No, yeah, we saw him at the beginning of the episode we watched, because
Okay,
he gave
yeah.
permission for stuff, but
But,
the last
Episode
like
and 3/4
35 or so 40 minutes that we've watched of that show, the main character hasn't been on screen for it. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's like One Piece when Luffy just isn't there for 3 fights in a row.
Yeah, because he's recovering and eating meat.
Or he's just sitting there waiting to go fight the big bad.
Mason, we're not talking about current One
It's
Piece.
like in
Come on.
it's like in Dragon Ball Z where Goku's dead for 7 episodes and you don't
I mean,
have to
I was-
see him when he is.
I was mostly talking about like the Impel Down arc
True.
where he's just recovering and then he eats meat for like a day and he's fine.
And in current arc, where he's recovering and he eats meat and get back in
And then-
there.
And then he's fine.
Uh,
Kurt,
Michael,
go read One Piece.
go do that. Michael, what else have you been doing? I know one of these things you've been doing.
I've been playing more Sea of Thieves, play a little bit more Warframe as you do. Sea of Thieves this
As
week
you
started
do.
a collaborative event with the Gearbox. There's a ship set. If you do some certain things in the game, you can get a ship that's Borderlands inspired. It's really cool looking. I started playing Destiny 2 like 3 days ago. Bought all the DLCs because a lot of friends play it. That was a good time. I've gotten through. For people who have played and whoever watched this VOD or are watching stream, I got through Forsaken and the Forsaken expansion and Shadowkeep. Those were fun. Other than the fact that Destiny 2 makes -3 cents if you've never played Destiny 1, which am I, in fact. Sean, I don't know what this
awesome.
other thing is. Oh, I started playing Fire Emblem Awakening last night. That's what Sean's waiting for me to say.
Oh,
I'm through the first like 3 areas.
He's
That's
starting.
a
fun
He's
one.
slowly starting to meet my favorite cast of boys because the Awakening has they're not like some of them don't get very in depth, but just their base personalities. I enjoy some of the boys you get in Awakening. I think they're fun. They're fun characters.
Awakening does have good characters. I need other people to get on the Thracia 776 train.
I
I'm
Just
a
will
big
play
fan
that
of
game.
Treehouse.
one day.
I'm a big
Thracia's so
Treehouse.
good. It's so hard, but it's so good.
Michael, I know Michael's waiting to get Gaius because Michael knows about him or Candy Boy.
Oh wait.
Guys,
Oh yeah, my boy. I didn't realize he was Awakening
Oh, he's
character.
an
Not gonna
Awakening.
lie.
Oh, you're gonna love his introduction in Awakening. It's very good. Michael is doing the correct choice, which is playing as female Robin and going to marry Crom.
Yeah, I had already planned that off the start. That's what I wanted to
I
do.
think it's a strong, good option.
But it is me, your father, Chrome, from the Fire Emblem. I think Lucina's the correct option, but that's a whole nother debate.
I mean, sure. I mean, yeah, one way or the other, you're getting that bloodline. I mean, that's the
I
important
mean-
thing.
You're either fucking him or fucking his daughter, so pick your poison.
Either way, the midpoint of that game has a very good sequence.
Either way,
much
you're
more
making your
emotional.
god tier child fight for you, and that's what matters.
Like one of your god tier children.
Make those babies fight,
Morgan.
damn it.
Morgan, what a good baby.
Morgan gets
Yeah,
broken.
Like,
I already have
decide-
a few planned out. As in the only other marriage I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do is Lissa and Mustal.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Stahl's just a good
You were
boy.
talking
Do all of them.
You were talking
I'll
Varen
see it.
Sully.
Yeah, that one's a probably.
They hand you that one kind of like a hey, we're introducing these two characters at the same time. Do you want to make
Yeah.
them each other?
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you enjoy
Wink,
this
wink.
interaction? Do you want more of it?
Do you like this?
Poor
We like
Mike.
this. Do you like this?
The fucking Robin Crom C1 is with female Robin is so fucking good.
I don't remember what that one is.
remember
That's
any of
Crom
them.
saying Robin is a very ladylike, and then threatening to beat his skull in with a rock.
That's
Crom's like, Robin, why are you holding a rock?
you liking the C support means you're going to very much enjoy the whole rest of that support tree as a heads up.
That support tree is essentially happy, optimistic boyfriend who loves his girlfriend and just super pessimistic, I hate you, girlfriend.
I never did the
It's
female
so
Robin playthrough,
good.
unfortunately.
I did it on my first time because I was just like, I like Crom.
I did it my second time because my first playthrough I played as male Robin, and I married Lissa, and that was my choice.
I did in Marth.
Wait, but if you marry Lissa, wait, did both children come out, or is it only give you
Yes,
Morgan in that case?
You get both.
Okay.
You get both
It-
if you marry
in-
outside of the
in-
main bloodline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically each character has their specific child.
Every
Yeah, I just
female-
wasn't sure. Yeah, I wasn't
Very
sure. Every female and then Robin also.
because
okay.
Robin can be
Um,
female.
Doesn't
I-
Lucina have? Well, I guess Lucina can
No.
only pair with.
Lucina's the
Corn.
exception because she's also a child, technically.
Yeah, I'm
Fun
just
thing
waiting for
about-
Lissa's child because Owain Dark is my favorite fucking man ever.
Owain is
See,
so good.
my only idea of his personality is because I played a very large amount of Fire Emblem Warriors.
So that's his personality. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's all
And
he
then
does.
all he does is spout Fire Emblem references, and it's
It's-
wonderful.
My sword hand.
I still love one of my other favorites is like my favorite Fire Emblem character is Soleil. I just love her to death. I also love Inigo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Batman.
fun fact, I have a friend of mine who's beaten the game on Lunatic Plus, and that is a fucking feat and a half,
I
if I do
never-
say so.
Sacrifices must have been made.
I never claimed to be that good at Fire Emblem.
Game was
At some point,
hard.
sacrifices have to be made in those games.
Mhm.
There's one mission in particular early on that I can think of that is just awful.
Yeah,
to
I
get
know
through.
exactly which one.
You have to rescue the stupid child, and you have one flying unit and no
Yep.
mounted units.
hmm
And it's like, well, I guess one of us is dying here.
It's an 07 kind of moment.
Yeah, it's very much an 07 moment.
'Cause if the child dies, you lose the mission. It's the stupid thing. You can't just let
Yeah.
the child die, or else I totally would have done that.
Don't do that to the poor child.
Well, the other child shouldn't have been.
He ends up on that cliffside. He deserves to die.
Michael, I can't wait till you do some of the children chapters in the game. Because God, those maps get difficult. I particularly remember the kids maps being way harder than the rest of the game for.
Of course they are,
For
because they're
Yeah.
the best characters in the game.
Um,
Dodge, what have you been doing?
I've been playing League of Legends.
Why?
I don't know. I get paid to do it. Watching anime, of course, the stuff. We watched Kaguya, we watched Violet Evergarden, covered that. Been playing more of the show. Been thinking about what to do with the last week of freedom before school starts again. Still don't have any ideas, so we'll get there.
So we told you to do something. I don't remember what it was, but there was something.
Play Persona 4 Golden.
That's what it was.
which
Hit me out.
I need to give you my login for that.
We should do a stream where we host Mason playing through 999 and just all support him as he goes through that
Oh, God.
experience.
I was watching Zem play.
Me
12
and
minutes the
Sean
other
will
day.
mod your
I'll
chat
mod
to
your
make sure
chat.
no one comes in.
I will ban hammer
I-
anyone who starts trying
I
to say
don't
things.
own the game, but once I get paid, either like sometime between Tuesday and Thursday, I'll buy it.
What the fuck happened to Zem Subathon, Mason?
I haven't watched Seven in a while, just because he
So-
streams when I'm not around.
So, Lars, who is a streamer, is doing a subathon right now that started yesterday. He's currently at 31 hours live. The clock has 19 hours on it.
Oh, Zem.
Oh no.
Oh, Zem.
When will people learn
Uh,
that this is the
I'm
mistake?
getting my $5.
I mean, he's got 3,000 subs, so I don't think it's that big of a mistake,
That's-
dude.
My
That's
boy
fine.
Zem.
$6,000 this month, baby. Man's pulling in the bag. But
Once the podcast is done, time to add some time to that.
but yeah, no. Outside of that, haven't been doing too much. Just kind of the usual stuff and work, lots of work before school starts.
Well, technically, also watch the newest episode of Spirit Chronicles. That show remains very good, and I like it more and more with each episode. It's just a good isekai, so I'm happy about that. We want to get into Vanitas?
Yeah, Vanitas.
Well, guys,
Vanitas was
sorry, Mason, just to segue
Alright.
into this. Congrats, everybody. Well, you've done it. You figured out how to shut me up on this podcast. Get rid of all of my shows. Go ham, guys.
We
You
have
can
done
start
it.
it.
okay. Just pick better shows. Forehead.
That's what I usually do.
Yeah, that's what I did.
You might regret those
Um,
words next season if I get to pick first. I know what shows you all want to watch next season. I know which
I
ones you
mean-
think are going to be winners.
I
I
agree.
mean, right now, like next season's already looking like a 2-horse race between Komi-san and fucking Chainsaw Man.
If
but
it
like,
airs.
There's some.
you
There's
think
some
those
other
are the
good
only
ones.
two that are gonna be that
those are
big?
There's some
those are the first
really
two
good
big ones. But
ones.
there's a lot of other good ones too.
Yeah.
But we'll talk
Oh.
about that another time.
I have one meme one I know I'm picking.
You
Just
guys
for
think
shipping.
you guys think the essentially Vivi spinoff isn't gonna also be in top 3?
Yeah, I know. I'm watching that as well,
My
even if it
actual-
doesn't get on the podcast.
My actual pick is I'm going to try for Blue Period.
Blue Period is probably going to be good.
But I heard it's gonna be good. But Vanitas,
Mine are so Vanitas. So we got a good amount of like oh shit moments in this episode. So we learned that Noe is called the Shapeless One's child for some reason. A lot of cute Noe doing cute things this episode. We also learned that the attack by Charlatan Parade was actually not like to make curse bearers. It was an attempt to kill Lucius. Because Lucius is like second in line to, or like first in line to the throne.
Basically has the throne at this point. Is what we figured
Basically
out.
has the
Mhm.
throne because he is his post is the Grand Duke Oriflame, which is second only to the Queen, and uh Queen's fucking dead.
She ain't looking too hot.
If she's not dead, she is pretty fucking close. Um, because Vanitas wanted to meet the Queen because he thinks she's causing all the curse bearers to happen, and Ruthven didn't like that. Ruthven almost killed Vanitas this episode after being a chill dude for like 2 episodes.
Almost killed fucking everyone in that room.
Yeah, very close to it.
Instantaneously too.
We also found that like there are half vampire, half humans called Dampiers, which is very cool that they're following the mythology. They also infiltrated they infiltrated Notre Dame to go and like see if the church had anything to do with the curse bearers, and they met one of the captains, who is scary. He's a paladin. What's a paladin? Sorry, meme. Paladin had a grenade. There was a flashbang that blended the real world and the formulaic world of Vampire Eyes, which is just kind of fucked and weird and trippy. And then he took drugs, and that was the episode.
Also, he's a
And then he
vampire
took
hunter.
drugs.
He's a vampire hunter.
Apparently, a bunch of them are vampire hunters. They just
One
do
of, like-
this in their spare time.
One of like
Yeah.
what 7 top tier vampire hunters or
But
whatever.
he's a new recent ad, unless that was
He's
part of
he's
him
one of
lying
the
his
6.
his ass off.
He's like he's the 6th paladin and one of the 12 captains or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike and I were discussing how we felt about this paladin being portrayed as an idiot on introduction, and then our main characters falling for it. I don't necessarily hate this. I think the only thing that kind of hurts us is we see him beforehand, and we see him in a serious tone beforehand. Whereas if his introduction was flat here, he might come up as more like it might be more viable for us. But I think it works for what the show's doing.
Yeah, I thought it worked because like we see him in the serious tone when he's introduced, and then it's very obvious to the viewer that he knows that there's a vampire between the two of them. When he shows up behind them in the vampire skull room.
The question is, does he know that Vanitas is Vanitas? Because he knows of Vanitas.
I don't think so, but he definitely can like sense that there's a vampire there. So I think it was a bait essentially to try and get them in a better suited arena so he could kill them faster and easier. Also, it looked like he just really enjoys tormenting vampires, which that tracks. He literally just reminds me of Alexander Anderson from
Yeah.
Hellsing.
I got that feeling too.
Yeah. All he needs is an Irish accent. That's all we need.
I generally really like this episode of Vanitas. The beginning stuff we get here I think is really strong. It's Vanitas being Vanitas immediately followed up incredibly strongly by a transition of Noi going, oh, now Vanitas is acting like an ordinary human being. Something's bothering him. He wouldn't do that. Which is really good. Like we've established our characters so much that besides, even if the show didn't show us the shot of Vanitas lingering on the pendant of like the paladins and the members of the church, are they called Chaucers? Is that theirs?
Chaucers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this year.
Chaucers.
But like, even if the show didn't show us that, I think we as viewers probably could have figured out the same thing as Noi did, just because the change in his attitude.
Yeah. I think this episode was really strong just simply because we got the Vanitas being Vanitas, Noe being a good boy, and also like realizing something's up with Vanitas. followed by their walk to the church, which is just their dynamic for like 2 minutes, and it's great.
And like,
Where Noah is just like, okay, I'm following you. No, you're not. Too fucking bad I am. But no,
Fucking
you're
bad.
not. I don't care.
I really
Yeah.
enjoy also just a lot of this episode sets up so much for the future of this show, in terms of like what we know, what we don't know. The fact that Ruthven very clearly has a lot of information he wants out of Vanitas, but has now technically cut ties with him, which is technically a win on Vanitas' end because he doesn't need to be close to Ruthven. He gets the information he needs, and now if he ever wants anything else, he still has literally all of his information to trade that Ruthven wants from him.
Yeah.
And now
Also,
Lutheran has to come to him, basically, is the biggest thing.
Ruthven has to come to him, and also like they still kind of have Lucius on their like in the middle ground where they're not actually like hostile.
Yeah.
Between one another.
I'm curious about how they get out of this situation. It'll be fun.
That's what I'm wondering too, because
watch.
like it seems like he's not able to fight right now, and Noe's also not able to fight right now, and that seems like a fucking problem.
Deus
for
Ex
what's going on.
John.
That's the
Yeah.
thought that's immediately in my head, and I'm interested to see if that's what happens or.
I feel like I would be fine with it if they wrote it away. As Jean could like sense that Vanitas was in danger because that's her current food source.
Mhm.
I would be fine with that.
Or that she was just. It'd be weird though, like if she was following them this entire time and none of the three of them noticed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, we also get a expansion. We've seen some of these supporting cast characters before. We see them again in this episode, which is nice to have Dante and kind of their crew back.
Dante and
Mhm.
crew. I wanted to say I really like the scene at the beginning ish where Vanitas starts shit talking the queen. That entire section is
Yeah.
so fucking well directed.
Mhm.
With the way that it's like actual like, dynamic camera shots and it constantly zooming in on Vanitas' eyes shifting. You literally see it shifts his eyes towards Ruthven, and you look at Ruthven, then his eye shifts left, and you see Lucius. It shifts back and forth, showing exactly what he's
Yeah.
looking at, because he's gauging reactions, which is explained later. That you very clearly see Lucius doesn't get angry. He goes,
Mhm.
Yeah.
how does he know? How does he know mom is fucking going from the end of Hunter x Hunter?
And you've reminded me because that scene's like right before it that like we get the scene from Ruthven where he's like, "Don't worry about his brother. He's fine, absolutely
Don't-
fine. It's better that he's
don't-
cursed. Leave him alone." Which
Yeah.
I'm super excited to meet that character because there's no way Vanitas is gonna fuck something up in relation to that.
Oh yeah. Like as soon as they set that up, it's like, ooh, this man is like locked away. What the fuck happened to him?
And they silhouetted him in a way that makes it feel like he could be an
He's-
actual character. So
I think they set it up in a way that he is a fully corrupted individual that they're just keeping alive for the sake of having his
Research.
name alive, or both. Like he's alive, but only because they are trying to figure out what's going on with the curse, kind of thing.
yeah.
Mhm.
But this episode was good. I mean, it had the usual Vanitas stuff. It's below Sunny Boy and Remake for reasons we'll talk about later. It was more of those shows being great than this one just being bad.
Yeah.
Like Vanitas is still Vanitas. Like all this time, like no matter what is happening, Vanitas is always going to be serious when Noe's having fun and always be smiling whenever everyone else is serious. Like we addressed the actual plot of the story. Discovering Lucius's brother, right, no longer needed to be freed for some reason. And we have Vanitas outright claiming the queen is the reason, when in reality it seems like she's the one that's the most corrupted to a degree. I see that I wrote down Noe sees everything about his boyfriend Vanitas. As he waited outside the door that one day. And then yeah, I mean the Inquisitors are coming packing, dude. Chasseurs got steroids and shit. It's gonna be exciting. We're definitely gonna see some combat, which is always a fun time.
Yeah, combat in the show is really cool.
This episode also gives us some context to the fact that like last week we learned that Janine has like some kind of drug stabilizer for potentially having like being cursed. And now this explains a lot of the royal family's been going through this, that someone who is a direct aid to the royal family would be able to have some kind of at least medication to stale off the effects if they've been like studying this for so long.
Yeah.
which would make a lot of sense if this is kind of the way Vanitas has been like figuring this stuff out, is by like tying these threads together.
Mhm.
Or if he just has knowledge we don't know yet, because we really don't know a lot about Vanitas himself yet.
Yeah.
I'm excited when that eventually happens.
Right. But yeah, Vanitas good. It's just
It's
like
just Vanitas.
it's been
It's
been
a
good.
good show, a good episode.
Yeah.
Michael, we can pass the buck on to you for Black Company.
We this week we have a fun little funny little episode as we've been having with the show. We see Nia unlocks mommy mode, like mommy teacher mode. That's too powerful. Um, I enjoyed the idea that he just doesn't have the ability to use magic power because he's an outsider.
He's
Yeah, it
human.
made sense.
But also he gets a gun, and that gun is a waifu, and I don't know how I feel about it.
I don't know. I feel like
Super
Yandere
creamy, high
gun,
maintenance
dude.
gun girlfriend.
I'm not a big fan of
A
Yandere
certain
gun.
scientific gun.
This gun reminds me of the fucking belt from
Is it a certain
Yes.
scientific? Is it a certain
whatever
scientific
the
gun that
fuck
was
that
just too rail?
Yes.
One might
Maybe.
say.
That too. Yeah, no, I got very much Belt Princess vibes from this gun, which I
Yeah.
don't know if I like that or not.
Wait.
That's a show you didn't watch.
Oh.
That was
Dungeon
last
Boonies.
Dungeon Boonies.
Oh, I watched part of that with you. Yeah, no, okay, I remember now. Yeah, no, I know
Yeah.
exactly who you're talking about.
I mean, I think him getting the gun was funny because every time he does something good, there's something bad about it. It's a cursed item. Haha. It's like, oh, look how powerful I am with this gun. But this gun will kill people and take their clothes off or something because mana's put into the threads of clothing or
I mean,
something.
you were due for some nudity. You knew it was coming.
I give them this. They at least gave a decent reason to explain it away.
Yeah, I just feel like they should, if they like I wonder if that's been mentioned before and we all just forgot, or
No,
that's just
I think it's been
they went-
mentioned before. I wasn't very
Yeah.
surprised when it happened because I think Shia talks about it, and I'm pretty sure when they buy when they buy like the black, the Black Company like robes for him and Wanabe, they mention it's like very loosely, like low
Yeah.
tier level, like enhanced, but not good enough really.
Yeah. It's like the hand-me-downs of like throwing out the old and getting new good adventures, new stuff, and then all the new adventures get their old shit.
Yeah, I also enjoyed a little bit with them, Rim and Ranga having their little standoff. Ranga pulls out the gun and is like, "Oh, it's just a toy gun. It's fine." And he's like, "No, it's not a toy gun." But I just enjoy Rim existing. Those two are just Rim and Ranga are just fun.
Yeah.
I really like.
I just enjoy this cast a lot.
I also really like the bit of this episode, which is a theme this week of we're just gonna give you a hard hitting emotional scene for a little bit. And this week is Ninomiya being down on himself in the bar because he has no fucking talent besides
Hey.
manipulating people.
Yeah, besides
I
his high
really-
charisma stat.
And he fucking
I-
swipes that off the bar table after.
I really respected the show for that because it's not often where you have a comedy where like it's like, man, this character is having an actual fucking breakdown about the shit going on in their life. This is nice.
And I like Wanabe's reaction where he's like, Ninomiya, I'll say something, and then Ninomiya's like, actually, I'm good now. I've yelled my
Yeah.
fill. I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna go think of a plan. And then he thinks of a plan, and the gun falls, and he's like, perfect. Everything's aligned.
Also, the fact that he's like, oh, let's try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's try QWERTY.
Bing.
like-
That doesn't even make sense.
It's from the
Which it really doesn't make
future.
Oh
sense.
yeah, I
that
think the
that
guns
works.
from the future is the idea.
Yeah, but like keyboards, we still didn't see keyboards in that
Okay,
future.
So I mean, the idea that if they're essentially in like almost modern America, like modern like days, like Japan, America, whatever the fuck, I would assume the 100 years in the future would have gotten keyboards at some point. Maybe I don't know.
I mean, so to be fair, they do also have some way of keeping track of how much money he owes. And that's a lot of money.
They basically
there's a
live
lot
in a
of
modern day
employees.
apartment too. So
Yeah.
like, I think it's not too far off to be like the gun he got from even further in the future, where they have mechs raining down from the sky. They just maybe had a keyboard somewhere,
Yeah,
Mhm.
I also
especially since we
like
had
the
the
meme.
Internet Cafe in the dream.
yeah.
I just really enjoyed the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's like, no one's stupid enough to do that. He's like, you doubt this.
You doubt the stupidity of my world. Also, I like one thing I really enjoy about this show is it's just like it fully takes from JRPGs. So it's like in the beginning we had like, hey, no, this guy, this like super high level adventurer, he's a rogue. He is the class rogue. And now they're like, oh yeah, your level is 5. The average level right now is 20. We need to get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. But yeah.
Now,
I also just love the dynamic between Nia and Ninomiya, because I think they're just a wonderful old married couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just wasn't really that entertained by this episode. Like, I really just didn't like the gun bit personally.
it does drag a little from my.
I wish he just
liking,
had
too.
the gun. I like that they explained why he wasn't using it beforehand, but like, like the question I had was like, okay, so this gun just like completely rebooted and mapped to him, but like, didn't he use and have the gun previously in the future? So like, what was the we're just gonna kind of bypass that and just be
Well,
like,
in the future, it was
but
just
it's in,
actual guns.
but I'm assuming this is the same gun he had back then. So it's like, I don't really get how we're just like, okay, factory mode, I guess, unlocked because we infused it with Rem's mana, I guess. I don't know.
So from my like from my viewing on it, since they got it from the future, he used it quite a bit like in the future from what it seemed like, at least it was implied that way, because he had the gun when he took over the underground, and then
He shoots
when
a
they
thing when
went
they
back
get back.
yeah, he shoots the thing when they get back, and it was a pretty powerful blast that probably drained the last bit out of it, and he didn't know how to reload it.
Either
Huh.
way, like I wasn't a big fan of that bit personally.
I can
I don't like the gun in
imagine
general.
not liking it.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I could imagine not liking it, especially because I think one of the scenes that's really close to being really good in addition in this episode is the scene where they have him tied up, and they're like, "Have you learned not to go off half cocked and overdo it?" You know what I mean? And he's saying that he's like, "Actually, yes, Wanabe, you have a weapon. Give me a weapon. I'm gonna use this gun when I actually need to." And the show's like, "No, the gun refuses." And that bit,
Gun says
like,
no.
of course, I still have not. I still do like the gun bit, but it is one of those things where again, you know, be just trying to grow, and the show goes, "No, you're not allowed to. Stop
Never
Yeah.
let it
that."
grow.
So like,
Bad.
I'm like iffy on the gun scene at all, but overall, I still like the episode.
Yeah,
I
that's fair.
liked the gun scene because it just reminded me a lot of my past relationships, but that's just me.
That's not good.
I know.
We had a long conversation about this over on Dodgy's stream.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
a
we
fun
did.
stream. I finished my diamond. Was that this week or was that last week? That was last
You
week.
finished.
That was,
Was
that
that
was
this
last
week?
week.
Was it the start of this week? Might have been
No,
the
it wasn't
start-
the credit
Yeah,
this
you
week. 'cause
hadn't.
you-
was
Yeah.
You
started
hadn't
this week.
actually finished it yet.
Yeah, I survived, by the way, with Gyarados. He's OP. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, Gyarados
I mean-
is insane.
I think this show's interesting. I definitely can see the argument for this being better than a certain other show we're going to talk about next. And one of my notes just says, through a medium like alcohol, any mental breakdown is possible. And so, yeah, I like the breakdown into mental clearing. I think that's like realistic and also like very for our character. But yeah, I mean, this show's just okay for me this week.
I can't believe. Are we gonna have? We are literally. Oh no. Okay, we are gonna have a break. I was gonna say, are we doing all 3 comedies in a row? But we're not. Yeah. I mean, let's feel free to jump right into the next one, Dodge. This one's all you.
Yeah, so we open up with the G Cup Titty Twister. Very important. We learned that Nalia is the king of misinterpretation, but Saki's getting all the big dubs this episode, it seemed like. The teacher was just kind of like,
Until
fuck
she
it.
isn't.
The teacher's like, fuck it. Yeah, just have a girl on your lap during class. I don't give a fuck. I've been a horny high schooler before. But yeah, I mean, Captain No Shame, our main character, making big moves. Nagi still continues to be the only MVP for cuteness and Like
Best wingman.
this show had some of the most awkward, cute things I've seen in a while. Which I don't know if it was, which was like the hug scene. But I think my favorite part was, and I quote, "I'm about to get NTR'd." Because that is not a
Yeah.
sentence I thought I was going to hear this week or ever,
Yeah.
outside of reading certain doujinshi, we'll say.
I like that this explains a lot about Saki's character in a way that I don't know how I feel about saying that sentence.
So there was one thing that I was a little sad they didn't use as a joke. And it was when they're running away from Milika and they go into the room. Dodge noticed this. If you look at when they walk in, it's the PA room.
I know. I said it to Michael. I was like,
I
"If
was
this podcast
so ready for
equipment-"
something bad to happen.
I
there.
know. I was so ready for some shit like
I'm
that to
honestly
happen.
glad they didn't though, because that was like such an obvious bait that
Yeah.
like I'm
It-
glad that for once they didn't take advantage of that. If
It
that makes
would have
sense, like
changed the entire episode if they had done it differently.
it would have just been so obnoxious if they did though. Let's just like, all right, here we go, the classic, PA oopsie doopsies. Oh no.
But I don't think
But
they
I-
say anything important enough when they're in there, or they could have
Yeah.
written it so they don't say anything important enough. Where it's literally just a scene where Saki's like trying to change clothes while Naoya's back's turned, and everything that comes out of the mouth is entirely misinterpreted by the rest of the school,
Yeah.
which would only further the situation they're already in the episode. But I don't think the show gets any points for not. I don't think it's a big deal they didn't do it. I just
Yeah, I
thought
don't
I
think-
did think the same thing though.
I was like, oh no, please don't go for this bit. I hate these awkward bits.
Secondhand cringe.
There were two other things that I thought were hilarious this episode, and it was the Naoya studies really hard. He's still a dumbass, and Milika goes, "That's so fucking badass."
I don't.
I thought that was so
It's so
funny.
freaking
It's
hilarious.
such a
So
dumb,
find it weird
such
that
a
they go,
dumb
yeah, he's a
scene.
dumbass. He's never even made it to top 5 in his class. What a dumbass. Like what?
I mean, yeah, only the smart people are in the top 5 of their class, duh.
True.
obviously.
The top 10 definitely aren't smart too or anything.
I mean, yeah, but if you're not top 5, are you really trying?
Are you even like in the class? Like, hello?
Yeah,
Cool. True.
top 5
The-
students, baby.
I
Not
was 26.
not currently, but I was in high school.
I was not in high school, but like I was also in different
Mason's
classes.
internet
that were more
died.
difficult,
It's
so.
okay because this is a really good freeze frame for his image.
I didn't get a
Mason is
freeze frame. I just got a
dead.
buffer, dude.
Oh, he's just
You
he's
can,
just having a good
you can
time
see
on
it
my
on stream. It's really good.
Yeah, it's the same one I have.
Oh no, Mason.
Oh,
Poor guy.
7.
I mean, so my thoughts on girlfriend this week are as simple as when it comes to I actually don't I'm higher on this show than I was a couple of weeks ago, just like I'm higher on Life Lessons than I was a couple of weeks ago. Now we just have Dodge split in half and names are wrong, but that's okay. Oh, he's
I'm
back.
back. It's fine.
Beautiful. Like I don't hate girlfriend. I don't hate like I could stand it. Like I would be fine watching another week probably of it. But for me it's just a matter of picking out of the 3 that are clearly kind of in their own zone, like which one I would prefer to watch least. It just happens to be that girlfriend has been and hasn't done enough to change my opinion that I don't really care if I don't watch it.
Yeah,
Fair.
that's fine.
The other joke I did enjoy from this episode was the line of, "If you're ever in heat, let me know. Please don't deal with it yourself." It's
Yeah.
just-
Dude,
oh,
Nagisa's
Naoya.
just taking hard dubs this episode. That's all I'm
It
saying.
really was.
It really was.
Saki was taking hard dubs, and I refuse to believe that she ever stops taking hard dubs. Because even when it looks like she's about to start losing. I mean, technically she's
Maybe
still
she's into
winning.
it. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. And the wise words of a 2019 guy, "I am a cuck," is what she said.
See, my biggest issue with this show, and it gets pointed out a really big thing in this episode, which is an issue Sean has had for a while. Why the fuck does Saki like him? Why did she say yes this time? We still have not explained why she said yes this time. Like, what made this one different? Like, we understand why she would like him because childhood friends, but she said no 13 times or something as the beginning of the show says, and we just haven't been explained as to why she said yes. And it's just kind of weird how she's like super defensive over him. But like, why do we even like him? Like,
Guys,
bruh.
he tries really hard.
My camera will be back on in seconds.
That's okay. I'll fix it
That's
when that
okay.
happens
I like
too.
being Michael for a bit.
I'm just gonna shuffle
Oh, I
around
get to be
every time it
Mason right
happens.
now, right?
Will I have to move the cameras again? Yes.
Can we just change Mason's name to 4, so that way he just like stays in the same spot so we don't have to move it again?
Oh wow, we've really shuffled it around now based on how I've done this.
Oh no.
Wonderful. It's okay. I'll get it fixed as we go.
Oh no.
I need to figure out a nickname in this server.
That's either I haven't changed mine at all.
I haven't
This
changed
season.
mine in a long while this season.
Yeah. Like mine literally has been the same since the end of last season.
I've just been enjoying shows this season. It's great. I've been reading a lot of Realist Hero, which is what we're going to be talking about next. And that show's good.
It is, and
It reads really well too.
I hate that I have it at 4th this week. It was really hard for me to decide,
It's hard to not put it anywhere higher. It really is.
and especially this week. Mason, feel free to go because it's yours.
Yeah, so Realist Hero was again really solid. It's still like for me, like I ended up putting it 4th, and that's just because the shows that are above it were like it's not because Realist Hero was bad, it's just those other shows were good, like way better. But like we got some cool like world building stuff. Like we got a bit more on how magic works. Because like we got told about how their navy works, where like they have exactly one battleship, and it's not using like water magic essentially, but it has water elemental affinity magic users on it. It's pulled by sea dragons, and then any non-water magic that's used on water just isn't as powerful.
And just for clarification, the "we have one battleship" is in reference to the Forbidden Army.
Yes.
This isn't at all talking about the Water Nation that probably has a lot more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We got more of Hal and Kaede, which was a big hog. They're working on a road to the port town that they just made because roads make trade easier. And then they also talked about like the trees and how the trees made it so that monsters and animals don't like just crowd the road and make it more dangerous. They leave just enough room so that they can get through, and that's it. Because again, Soma just knows how things work, and he knows that if they mess up and block it off entirely so that like animals can't cross, it's gonna fuck up the ecosystem.
But also, like, this is a really cool thing that Realist does, where, like, it will do world building and explanation, but also incorporate details that are going to be important, or at least connect to the next thing the show is going to do. So these trees
Yeah.
are from the forest, and that's very important for where this episode goes. And
Yeah,
the crew who's building the road are very important for where this episode goes. And it's
Yeah,
And
so
the fact
well
that
done.
there is a
Yeah,
road that has
because-
been built is very important for the fact of where it's going.
Yeah, because turns out Aisha just gets a letter, and it turns out her hometown got pretty well halfway decimated by a landslide.
Landslide.
Is that whole thinning thing that Soma told them to do in like episode 2? Yeah, they didn't do it.
Well, he didn't get a chance to actually go and tell them.
No,
Like, they have, and plus,
but they still implied that Aisha sent a letter to them because they knew about it, and then they declined to do it because they thought it was against their beliefs.
old people suck.
There was at least some
Um,
opposition to it. We know that.
Yeah. But Soma, because they get this letter while they're working on the road, Soma immediately drops everything and goes, "Okay, we're going to save these people right fucking now." So they like jerry rigged some stuff and managed to get there like a day and a half sooner than was supposed to, because also he realizes rescue response. You have 72 hours, and if you don't get to everyone within 72 hours, they are pretty well guaranteed dead.
Bruh.
Man,
Water important.
Angel
water's
Beats
important,
really
guys.
stretches that time period.
Yeah.
A show like this makes me go, Man, anime,
Here's the thing with Angel
anime really
Beats.
fucks around, huh?
So here's the thing with Angel Beats though. Spoilers. Has anyone not seen Angel Beats here?
I've seen it. It's been like 10, 12
Spoilers
years
to the
since I've
chat.
seen it.
They're already fucking dead.
Well, yeah,
That's
but
not even a spoiler. That's explained in the first 30
Yeah.
seconds,
Yeah.
essentially.
Dun,
Like-
dun, dun,
I'm just thinking about the
dun.
scene where the main character of Angel Beats is they're all fucking under rubble for like a week. And like
Yeah.
most of them are alive for like he's like I'm pretty sure he's the only one who dies out of that incident.
Yeah.
But back to realist.
So it had a good set. It had a really good moment at like in the middle and at the end of this episode. So in the middle when they're doing rescue response where they're trying to find people, he ends up putting his consciousness into these like field mice essentially that will go and find people under the rubble. And he ends up finding a dead body and immediately pukes from it. And obviously, that's a tough thing to see. But he immediately turns and stops because he thinks this will not do well for the morale. I'm going to smile and grin and bear it. And then he sits in on talking to the elder, whose brother, Aisha's uncle, lost his wife and son. This is again a tough thing to go through because this man blames Soma for not getting there fast enough to help find them. And as they leave, Soma is talking to, I believe, Aisha and starts crying because he feels like he's a failure. Because he's like, yeah, planning is all well and good, but if I'm not like, we should have had this plan in action already, so I don't need to be here to do it.
It's the carriage right back with Lycia.
Yeah, it's with
Because
Lycia.
the Aisha conversation's more about it's still a really nice conversation, but he again, like you said, he puts on like that braver face in front of her because it's her family and her village, but he explains like the whole you can't control nature. The best we're doing is making sure that we can live with nature here. You have to understand that there's always going to be these kind of things and that like you can only chalk so much of it up to fate.
Yeah. It's like we can do what we can, but overall, at the end of the day, nature does not give a fuck about us, and it will survive, and we won't.
But then you're right. Immediately after this, we immediately then turn on the dime to the carriage ride.
Yeah, and then we cut to him talking to Lycia, where he's sobbing and he's freaking out because he's like, "Man, this is a really tough job," and I didn't do a good enough job because people died and they didn't need to. If we had just been more like proactive about this. So it was good character building, it was good world building. Realist is a good show.
Yeah, Realist is really good this week. I really enjoyed the bit. I enjoyed all the super emotional stuff. That's not something the show has really hit on at this point. It's been more like, yeah, look at this king flexing his kingly abilities. And here, he's not able to get there fast enough because that's not possible for him to have been there fast enough. And it's really good to show. Yeah, it's like those bits in other isekais when the overpowered main character gets knocked down a peg because he was a pretty overpowered king, and it was very sad because he couldn't do everything.
People die when they are killed, guys. Like,
true.
It sucks. But yeah, it's very good for the character. I think in developing our main character as like, hey, he's still like 19, by the way. Like,
man, he's gonna do great when he gets to war.
Some other notes we know is that he's actually a was it socioeconomic major is what I discovered in my research per se, because I was reading this work a lot, and but yes, with an emphasis on world history, socioeconomic student, which makes a bit more sense for like all that he knows, right? Outside of just he reads a lot of book, he know a lot because book. But yeah, I think like it's crazy how Zero pulled up and destroyed this village with a landslide in the middle of a war. Oh, sorry, different show. But
I hate you so much.
I like this as a way. I like this as a way for them to get to the Forbidden Forest, right? Because we discussed how like he wasn't able to go there earlier because it's too far away, right? And it would take too long, and they're kind of in the middle of restructuring the entire economy right now.
Economy?
and so like it gets them to explore more of the world by like forcing them to deal with this natural disaster. I still feel like we're missing something important though, because 2 episodes ago we got a bomb dropped that we don't even know what it was, right?
It's
And that bothers
coming.
me that we never covered that, like, or even mentioned it. We know it's coming, but like it's like we need more in depth on that. But yeah, I think that it's like good on the village chief for saying stuff that Soma doesn't need to and defending his king, realizing that like, hey, this isn't his fault. He's trying to help fix this issue and make it doesn't happen this way. But yeah, I like at the same time that we have our character being vulnerable for the first time, right? Like, it actually breaking down over everything that's happening.
I
So
also really like having Hal as a character here, just existing, because he still feel one. I appreciate his interaction with someone when someone first gets there and someone's like, so you what happened to that personality you had when you would like give me honest feedback, bro? I want
why
that.
don't you give me shit, man? I
Like,
don't want to be yes man.
I know you got the shit kicked out of you by your dad, but I actually do want you to tell me how you feel. And then we get scenes with Hal where he's like, is this really like what we should like first before they even go to the rescue he's like, is this really what the Forbidden Army should be doing? And then he kind of gets put in his place without anyone having to do it by him experiencing the rescue mission, which is most likely for him a very much a like, oh, this is really important. This what he's been having us do is helping us do this. I don't think I'm gonna question him. And then you immediately get the scene where someone throws up and Hal's right there, and like that. I can't imagine what it's like to be Hal and be like, oh fuck. Also, props to the
Oh.
show for not having to show us the dead body, because we don't need to see it. We can understand perfectly fine that it's probably terrifying and not something we want to see.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a show that decides it doesn't have to show us it.
Yeah, that's not what the show's about. It's not about showing us the dead bodies. This isn't Parasite.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
You
Parasite
guys should
wasn't a
watch
good show.
Parasite.
I mean, she watched Parasite.
Parasite wasn't a good
That is
show.
the show I've heard.
Oh,
I have not seen it.
I like
But,
it a lot, but we can have a conversation about that another day when all four of us have watched it. That sounds like a fun little thing we can do.
I'll have to rewatch it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this episode's really good. Side note,
I need to
the
put
light
that on
novel
my anime
also very
list.
good. So the light novel brings up some slight little adjustments that make a lot more sense for them, and how it frames the perspective in that, like, when we watch this show, we're only getting the perspective of Soma, right, our main character. And like when you read the light novel, what a lot of light novels do is they will use different like parts in a chapter to frame it from the perspective of another character, right? And shift the focus. So like a lot of the scenes I'm reading are from the perspective of Lycia, hearing it from this angle, right? And her thoughts on it. And then it'll shift to Soma, who will like recap what it was without going into too much detail. Cause like, yeah, you've seen the whole scene, you know what happens, right? But like going like, that was weird. I wonder what that fox girl told him, because I don't know. Like the other people in the area, they know something happened, right? They called the recess and then talked to them privately, but what actually happened? And they also go the different order with the meeting where they bring the five in.
Mhm.
Our foodie, by the way, is actually a middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s, which does not appear to be here, but that's the magic of anime. And yeah, it's very interesting to see the different changes and like subtle differences like that can. I know it's going to happen in this section, but like it's going to go through a different order and how they reveal the characters, and that's cool. But I think the anime's doing a great job so far, from what I've read. Like everything that's happened in the light novel has basically happened here, and I hope to continue to see more of the show. And man, this is going to make a tough top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But before we even get there, I mean, I think arguably a solid 5 right now in my book. At least because this episode is really good. Dodge, you want to talk about life lessons?
God, this show's actually so fucking hilarious. I knew when I saw the preview on Funimation that it's not looking good for our little boy here, and then my next comment is, "Yep, not looking good for this little boy," as he doesn't want to participate and play with his friends. And so Urmichi goes over to him and has a moment where he's like, I'll go play now. It's fine. It's fine. Please." Um,
I really liked the bit with the I'm allocating my mood wrongly today. I'm going to
I
be exhausted later.
I cackled out loud verbally when the kids just all look at him and go, "You'll die." The acknowledgement that him
die.
doing this is very bad.
He's like, it's fine. Trust me. I'll be fine, kids.
Should I put the Danganronpa 3s on my anime list?
We also have Kumao-kun
Yes, because
starting to
I know
lose
it
his
leads
shit.
to fair.
Yeah.
And Uramichi seems to be rubbing off on the rest of the cast because we have Kamau-kun who's starting to lose it a bit. I liked the kid and his father who he brings his father gets the day off, so he goes to the thing. And I just love my favorite comment from that same kid or one of the kids just, well, I come to dislike my father too. It's like, ooh, no, maybe. I mean, it's kind of a you thing.
I like the I appreciate the way Uramichi answers this, which is no, it'll just be awkward. Like, which
Yeah.
is the good thing. It's the best answer you can give to these kids who you don't
That
know
isn't-
what they're gonna turn out like. Like they
Yeah,
might, but
and-
you're not gonna tell them that they might.
Like he's not lying to them, and that's the big thing. It's like he's giving them an honest answer that still isn't a bad answer. I'm not gonna lie. Most of my notes for this week were just lines from the episode, just like Kumao-kun is like talking to the kids, and they're like, "Oh, what's going to happen to Usao?" And he's just like, "We live in the forest, but Usao is about to get kicked out because he's behind on rent and trying to borrow money from everyone except for Uramichi."
No, he tries to borrow from Uramichi too.
Eventually, after realizing he's the only person left,
I love the fucking scene afterwards where he goes to the singer and he's like, "Can I have money?" And he's like, "Of course." And then immediately cuts to the singer like, "No, the poor baby, don't let him fall for this."
yeah, the whole bit with Ikatero is great.
He's a peaceful child. Don't let him be manipulated.
Yeah,
Head
it's like,
empty.
look, we're all bad, but like at the very least, save this one. He has some hope. Also, oh, go ahead.
We might about to be talking about the same scene. I don't know, but the station manager's kid,
Yeah.
and then at the end being like, "Yep, that was the kid and his wife. I'm sorry,
And
that was
then-
them. Well, thank you
Oh,
for
shit.
everything, my comrade."
Yep.
That was really good.
And that was really funny where he's just like, well, I'll see you guys never, because I'm getting fired.
And then she appreciated his honesty and nature. I also really enjoy the portions of this episode that we get about Uramichi. The first part being like his like the him acknowledging like, yeah, my life sucks. I don't always like doing what I have to do, but I actually do like working with these kids and seeing them happy. Which like has been we've
Yeah.
seen this for the whole show. There's just been there hasn't been the acknowledgement of it till now. Of like he very clearly goes out there and still does his job because these are kids and he has moments with them that makes him feel good. And like it's rewarding to have these good moments with them. Oh, and then immediately he has to carry this giant kid around and break his back out. But even then
Yeah.
the rest of the kids are like, is this what you're doing for us right now? Are you
Yeah, even the kids acknowledge that he's like clearly going to have a
Good man.
tough time.
I do really like the. So what does this word mean? I'm 5. I wouldn't know. So what a
Would
31-year-old
31-year-old
know?
Yeah, I have that written
And
down
we immediately
too.
go, oh no.
I know where that child's going.
Yeah.
Uramichi-san.
And then, but you also then immediately get we get the very next set of scenes is the stuff about the kids and the fathers, and like it's the moment when the kid was like, "Thank you, because of you, I get to spend today with my dad, who I don't always get to see," and it's literally just the turn of Uramichi. They're like, "Is he crying?"
Yeah.
And it's
'cause
like, "Of course he
cute.
fucking is. These
That's
kids
so
are
sweet."
angels."
These kids deserve better than being with Uramichi for an entire day at a time.
Also love, like, right before this, you have the bit where he is just bashing the balloon into Usao-kun's face. Just, like, beating the shit out of him with it.
I also just again these kids when they're like, we'll take you in. My mom will let you live with us. I'll make you a house next to my dog's house. These kids are so good.
These kids are the best part of the show, and it's not a bad thing. Like, it's actually just outstanding. These kids just they care so much for our boy. They're trying so hard, but man, is it a tough sell.
And Uramichi catches everybody sleeping when we realize that or mascot characters start to draw their parents and don't draw any animal features on them. Cause I did not realize it till he was like, "Hey guys."
I did. I called it
Uh,
before it happened. I was like,
I
they're gonna
did.
draw him in
I
animal
didn't get
costumes,
it,
right?
but I didn't notice it.
Yeah.
And then he says, "I'm like, oh shit, yeah, he's right."
That's a good point.
I really like this episode. And like,
Show's
Sean
just been on
having-
a good upswing, dude.
Sean having the biggest turnaround on
yeah,
this show.
absolutely.
John having
like,
second guess.
it's what
You fucking
happened. You keep
Hated this show.
you keep
What
one
happens,
you
dude.
keep a show around long enough and you'll go, damn, actually I might actually like it. It's like Back
it's
Era
like-
when we convinced half the podcast it was good, except in
Like
this
Black
case it's
Company.
actually good.
It's like Black Company, where Black Company's
Dude,
actually
it only took me like a year of being on the podcast, but I finally found comedies that last more than a week and a
Yeah.
half. It's so nice.
If you shoot enough of them you'll get
If
it.
I fucking pick enough of them, one of them's about to be funny. I
It's-
swear.
it's like me picking the sports shows. Like
It's cr-
they get there, some of them get there, some of them don't.
This show was like the least fucking convincing comedy either. Too. I was like, it's either gonna be amazing, too relatable, or a bit of both.
It's a bit of both probably.
But it's a lot of both.
Yeah, my issue with the show at the beginning was just it didn't it wasn't good enough, at least in the beginning, to survive the grinding through the entire season test.
Mhm.
Grinding through the entire beginning, because I got to the show and my brain just went, nope, I don't feel like doing this right now.
I think one of the big things is that this show relies so heavily on its characters, and in the beginning, if you're not sold on them yet, like it's a tough sell to like really connect with the comedy or relate to the characters. But after you've sat through 4 to 5 episodes, you're like, actually, I kind of like these people, and I kind of enjoy their day to day. And you know what? God damn it, that dick jokes might be funny because you know it's coming next week because we didn't have any this week.
Yep.
Oh, speaking of comedy shows that we made Mason watch.
Oh, I was told you started the first episode of My Setsu in about 5 minutes, and he told you to turn it off.
No,
Yeah.
legitimately, they did the air guitar or the air band bit, and I was like, okay, this is cute.
Why are they an
And then-
idol group when they're
I was
supposed to
like-
be comedy? I'm like,
Yeah,
that's a
I
good
was like,
question,
this
Mason.
is weird, but like, okay, this is fine. And then she started doing the impression. I'm just like, okay, turn it off. And John was like, no, I'm not turning it
No,
off. And I'm
we
like,
need to
no,
stop
no.
her. You
I was
need
like,
to
no.
understand our pain.
And then I legitimately went, John, if you don't turn this on right fucking now, I'm leaving the call and I'm not going to be back until tomorrow.
Like, big Sage.
And
I was
ladies
angry.
and gentlemen, if you didn't know, My Setsu opening act is a very powerful show with the feelings it brings out in you when you watch
It's
it.
very powerful.
It couldn't last longer than a week. It couldn't last longer than 1 episode because if we did, it would have killed us.
Train car go.
And not me, haha, I'm laughing so hard I'm going to die way. In the, no, I actually want to kill myself.
Me, I
kind of
actually
way.
want to die away. That was a fun time.
You guys ready? I'm not ready for this.
Let's talk about
Uh,
let's talk about the big surprise of the week, in my opinion.
Michael, do you want to explain
it's
what
time?
what I say like 10 minutes into this episode?
Oh, yeah, we're getting through the episode, and Sean's like, "Oh, is he gonna go back to the future or whatever?"
So the exact scene that plays out is him and Shinoaki walking together, and I'm like, damn, is one of them gonna? I'm like, are they gonna get fucking isekai'd and like he's gonna push Shinoaki out of the way of a car, and then he's gonna wake up and he's gonna see the repercussions of his actions in the future? And I just wait a while, and this episode happens. Michael, talk about this episode.
This is a really good episode of the show. We get a lot of really good heartfelt moments at the beginning where we have the fun little bit at the end of the beginning of them finishing the game, being all nervous about finishing the game.
Bug
know,
testing.
Bug testing was really funny. Him screaming about every typo was wonderful.
It was just a
like
pile of
everyone not
everything
understanding how
from the
computers were
table.
going. Oh god, the computer crashed. Oh god, it crashed again. Oh god, it's a horror. game now.
Everything
The character's
crashed.
face disappeared. We're playing DDLC now, apparently.
When the character
It's-
face disappeared, I laughed a lot.
Yeah.
It's happened again.
It's I just really enjoyed the bug testing because that's how bug testing goes. You just literally run, shove your face at it until it until you
Everything's
find all
on
the
fire. We have
issues.
to figure out why it's on fire.
Yeah, this is good.
And
There-
then
There was one thing during the bug testing, or like right before the bug testing, I thought was hilarious, and it was they used Premiere Pro
Yeah,
and not Premiere.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
an
obviously.
After Effects, which
After
we had
Effects.
which we had seen before, as opposed to
Yeah.
After Effects.
Yeah,
I guess before we
Yeah.
dive into the second half of this, we can talk about the first half. The way he handles talking with Suriyuki about like having to make these adjustments to the scripts he handles it incredibly well, which obviously has repercussions later. But like it makes sense.
It's the first
how-
time he handled it well.
Yeah,
which
it
is the
makes
thing that
sense
should have
how
been-
easy he gets Nanako and Shinoaki to agree, and then like we going into that room, he's gonna have a hard time,
Yeah,
With
because
him.
Suriyuki's always been the stubborn one.
and he's prideful about his work,
Yeah.
and we obviously see where that takes us.
And then he wasn't. And that was the first red flag of many.
So, after reading my notes, I noticed something. So, when he's talking to Shinoaki, she's like, "So we're making cuts then?" And he goes, "No, we're making alterations." And honestly, weirdly enough, that like now I'm reading back, I'm just like, it's kind of foreshadowing thinking about it now.
Fuck.
Oh, that's not good, Mason. I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. I need you to stop talking right now, Mason.
Because literally, I looked at it too because I have it in my notes because he uses because in the subtitles,
Yeah.
alterations is in quotations.
Yeah,
And I'm
because
just sitting there like, yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure you are, show. Fuck you too.
Michael, you
Yeah.
want to talk about the turning point in this
Oh, yeah.
episode?
Then we get a fun little bit where they're all vibing. The game does really well. They're getting all their paychecks from it.
Well, of course.
And
anyone
Shinowaki
could
and
have
Nanako
made
are just
that
like,
work.
holy shit, this amount of money exists. This is
Money.
legal. And then fucking other guy,
Tsuruyuki.
Suriyuki goes, "Hey, now can I talk to you outside for a bit?"
We take a walk.
And our brains all just go, "Oh no." Either he's confessing his gay love or bad things.
that
are
was,
about to
that was the
happen.
first thing Mason said.
Literally,
Is he gonna
that's
come
what I
out?
was thinking. I was like, is he coming out? Is he? Is he
Yeah.
I was like,
out
Mason,
then?
I don't think this is where it's going.
And then they get outside, and then you see the sky is a little bit gray, and then as he starts talking, the colors of the sky get even more gray as more clouds fill in. You know stuff, the usual sad moments, and then he goes, "Yeah, you're pretty cool. Cool that
Yeah.
actually I'm gonna
I
quit
quit."
school." And now he goes, "Wait, hold on, what?"
Took him
And
up there.
now he gets very sad because as he
He
would
gets
do.
angry, actually.
I'm really
He gets
happy.
snapped.
I'm really
He
happy
got snapped
gets
angry
I'm
there.
so
Yeah,
happy he gets
Which was
angry.
like, for me, like,
Yeah.
first off, I think that's great for his character. It didn't look great in the show because they don't animate the facial expressions very well, in my opinion, in this show. Because when
No.
the sudden change like that, he still looks like he's kind of like in a good mood, but like, I like that. It's just
The
snap. Like,
eyes.
what the fuck do you mean you're quitting? Don't you know this was all for fucking you, anyways? Like, what the fuck was the point in all this? Like, I need you to do this.
And I appreciate
Yeah.
Suriyuki's. Go ahead, punch me. I deserve it. I understand what I'm doing is gonna upset you, but you have to understand why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Let me finish.
'Cause and honestly, the reasoning Suruyuki gives for this is really good because it's like he totally understands. College just doesn't seem to be a good fit for him, and also with the fact that he like came into it very confident with his writing, and then Kyoya came along and he went, you know,
Damn, this dude's
maybe I'm
better at
not the
everything.
best.
And we can
This
see
dude's
that.
better.
And what's scary is we could see how this exact thing,
Was
obviously
playing out.
ignoring the fact that what's gonna happen next. If we stayed on this timeline, we could see how this exact scenario could play out with the rest of the cast with what he's done, because everything Nanako's learned has been from him. So like the only person he hasn't very heavily butted into has been Shinoaki, but even then, like he's curbing some of her work too.
he also basically like told her you have to keep drawing, right?
Yeah,
We had that scene.
and
And my thing is like, hi guys, there's a cool word I used, I think last week's episode of the podcast that I read from
Your
my favorite
diary.
show, Snafu. It's called codependency. It's not a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
It's where one person gets by because they're helping someone and the other person gets by because they're being helped. And that's why the relationship works, not because the people individually are growing. And that's a fucking problem.
can we also
When it's
talk
used to
about
the extremes.
the scene where they go to do the voiceover work and or Lale looks at Kyo and goes, "Don't worry,
Lol.
girls like her will shine when you actually start working." And how much different meaning that takes on when you know her role in the story now, and that could basically be taken as her going, "Why don't you calm down? She's fine."
I know she's
Uh,
fine.
I'm God.
What? Yeah,
Yeah.
fucking lollygag,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. And then
Well,
after this whole Tsuruyuki, now
I
you
fucking knew something was up with this
Tsuruyuki
character,
leaves.
man.
It starts raining because the clouds been forming, getting very gray. And it's gonna start to
This
rain.
scene's
And it's a
so
sad
good.
moment. That's how they do it. And then, this is foreshadowed earlier in the episode. He's talking to Shinowaki, and she says to him, "Is this how it ought to be?" And it's like,
That's how things should
is
be.
she seeing into the Matrix? Is she seeing this whole world as a simulation or some bullshit? But it's like, okay, whatever. It's fine. There's no problems. It's whatever. And then at the end, right near the end, we see our Lolly, the pink-haired one who runs the game studio, goes up to him while he's crying on the floor with a very grim,
She
blank
gives us a
expression.
fucking
because
Madoka
her-
Magica
yes,
smile.
yeah.
her fucking
She
pupils
looks
essentially
straight out of
disappear.
Madoka Magica. That's what I said too.
And then just goes, "Huh, I wonder how your actions will affect the future." And then it cuts. And then he wakes up
I wonder how
in
this will affect the future.
2018 or 2018?
2018.
It's the future of the future, by the
Which
way.
is 11 years, I think, from where they currently are.
12 years.
It's 2 years after where he started because he started in 2016. He went back to 2006, and now we're in
Yeah, and
2018.
Yep, they were in 2006, but they've already gone through their
Yeah, but also you
first
gotta remember,
semester.
too, though, Japanese school year is different. They start at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
They start in
okay.
April.
Hi, Daddy.
Okay.
Welcome to hell.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
It's heaven or
it's
hell.
him in the future of this. He gets married to Shinowaki in this future if it goes exactly this way.
And he has a daughter.
Imagine if he walks out of that room though, and Nadeko's also at the table with her daughter, and we're just pulling a job listing where he's just a.
Yeah,
my
we're
God.
just pulling it's girlfriend. It's just polygamy.
I'm so interested to see what the show does with this. It's been like I've been it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating hearing the other side of the podcast talk about this, and especially now, and Alex being so like cautious with the show and being like it's not taking enough risks. It's not like playing with its themes of time travel and like testing the waters with it. Like he was happy about like the plagiarism bit in the third episode, but you really haven't gotten a lot of that until now.
Yeah,
And it sucks, 'cause
much
I'm
with
worried
that.
that he's not gonna get to this point, and I'm gonna have to tell him, like, if we would, I'm gonna say, please keep watching this show, because you're gonna get what you want. But I can't.
I'm using my one experience from the future. I'm from a week in the future. Keep watching.
But like this was the plot point that I was like, as soon as you, and I told Michael, like, the reason I made that joke of like he's gonna get isekai back into the future and see the consequences of his actions, because exactly like what the show decides to do, this is the right moment to do this. If you're doing something with time travel, you have to do this.
And isn't this what I've been bringing up for week after week after week after week? I've been like, something has to happen. It doesn't make sense for him to exist in their lives. There has to be something that happens, like, that causes these characters to drive and move forward. And we finally get that release of like, yes, there's fucking problems happening because you are interfering with the natural course of actions. You were setting it different from the course, and now you're seeing the problems. It doesn't really make sense for his pen name, by the way, in the future. It's the same pen name, which is a little suspect.
I have an idea about that.
It probably has to do with something about Japanese, but
Yeah, it's probably some
It's
pun
either that
where it means something, where the kanji
or
means something completely different.
it's either that
if
or
you spell it a different
consider
way.
the fact that our main character never actually meets any of the Platinum Generation. It doesn't mean that at a certain point in his life, somewhere in just whatever he did in his previous life, he didn't have some meaningful interaction with Tsurayuki outside of the university.
yeah,
right?
like pass by
Like,
or
But
something.
yeah,
we don't know
if we
what
follow main
happens
thing, Tsurayuki probably drops out.
on his own accord.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably ends up dropping out and just becomes a writer because he doesn't need to go to school for writing. He knows how to
He
write
knows what he
himself.
needs to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
This
so
I
you
mean-
can just meet him randomly at some point. But yeah,
this
There's
feels
also
like
a thing of like, I had a couple of different ideas as this episode was going on. One of the big ones I was thinking is like, this project feels like it had to fail to make this show interesting, right? Because I didn't expect the Back to the Future thing, because most shows don't do that. Like, most shows are afraid to like bring you back to reality, show you the consequences, and then send you back again, right? Because it's supposed to be a one-time thing, right?
but a
Which is
good
why I love
show,
that they did this. But
a
like,
good show
my-
does it.
a good show breaks the mold. Like, my biggest issue I was thinking that they're foreshadowing about is like all these characters being super submissive to him suggesting things now, right? Like, the project was hard set up to fail for these characters to lose trust in the main character is how I saw it, because I was ready for it to be, sure, it succeeds and whatever, but like the complaints left on the thing is like, oh, this scene could have been more interactive with the hand thing, or the script could have been written a little better in this part, or oh, this song sounds a lot like this other song. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And that to be the negative things instead of like what happened, and like for it to be a trust breaking issue, right? That's what I saw coming. I did not see, by the way, fuck you. Let's see how this plays out. Wink. Which I guess that means he's on the Shinoaki route still. Like, I don't know. But big Sag for the Kawasagawa gamers. But actually big Pog too, because that means maybe he'll be like, I don't want this life.
yeah, he'll
Ew,
understand
she
that
looks
he
way too
needs
much
to
like
not do
her.
exactly this.
I'm interested
Yeah,
to
he
see.
clearly needs to go towards the best girl route. Like, that's my
Yeah.
problem.
I'm
Maybe he needs to make Kawasagawa succeed instead of these three, because they're gonna succeed on their own and figure it out.
I'm interested
Maybe.
to see what the show decides to do with it, because this show could very much easily take the path of, okay, Lollygod, let me try not to fuck this up again, and he goes back, and we fast forward through a couple of our points that
Here's
we
the
see.
problem. What the fuck's he gonna do now? Like, he's still got to do the work. He's still got to do the projects. Like,
I feel like the thing that the show is going for is to try to make him realize that there was nothing wrong with his original life. Like, you can be unsuccessful for a portion of your. He was still young, right? Like, he was just dissatisfied. But
yeah,
he
imagine being
also,
25, dude.
but
studying
like
at school.
he doesn't know the impact he's had on certain people, and I feel like that is where this show is gonna go. Is that he's had individual moments he doesn't know he's had with the members of the Platinum Generation that influenced them to get to where they are to some degree.
Mhm.
Or at least that if he had an interaction, it would ruin what he loved, because he loves their fucking work.
Mm-hmm.
The show's so fucking good.
It's interesting. It's just really interesting. The show's really fucking
It can
good.
do
though.
again. It can do so much. It doesn't have to do any of the things that are in our brains to be good, because this episode shows that.
That's the only thing I'm worried about though is this season's almost over already.
Uh-huh.
Like, that's what sucks.
Are
Is
you ready
like,
for
man, we only
a-
get like what is it 13? I think this one's 13, right?
This
Is
one's 13.
Are
I'm
you
pretty
ready
sure.
for a 50-minute special to close out this show?
No, this one's 12. We have 4 episodes left.
Are
Dude.
you ready for a 50-minute special to close out this show?
I hope it has one.
I'm down, honestly. Begin it
talk-
and end it with an hour. Let's go.
Yeah, or just
can't-
an hour, just a movie closer. Like
It
this.
can't
just
do
an hour
worse than
that could do
Wonder
it.
Egg.
Yeah. Well, it's already like it hasn't set itself up to like be in a bad spot. Is the thing. Like I would compare this more to Orisuki, where I think Orisuki's special is good for the show, but that's my opinion.
That requires me watching that special.
You should.
But
I need to watch that too.
yeah, show good. Show good. Give me more show.
Oh, speaking of good,
Sunny Boy.
Sunny Boy's so weird, dude. So we have like a segment of like a new area that is like putting the blame on our main character, because of course everyone blames him for setting them adrift, which we're back to blaming him in all facets, I guess now. Even the dog's like, yeah, I mean, it's the power you were given. It happens. Unlucky. We learn that like certain castaways are able to use power holdovers, which is like these stones we saw and the other trinkets we saw from Conquering Worlds, as a way to traverse to different worlds. And we answer a lot of questions. Aki Sensei wasn't actually Aki Sensei. It was Aki Sensei from the past that was a student at the same school, likely, we're assuming, that is just pretending to be the sensei, right? Because that's what the kids recognize and just using that to take control. When in reality, she's actually just the same age as they are in this case.
She hit puberty really early.
Damn, dude. Speaking of G Cup Hooters. And so like
G Cup.
we're drifting back into like this show being Nagro's fault, right? And like this is taking effect through every iteration of People Sent Adrift, including past and future, to the point where now we have this overarching like Council of Evil called Beatnik, right?
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom.
Yeah, the Legion of Doom Beatnik, but basically which is like a collection of like different iterations, world travelers, basically, from like the people who took control of their own like classes in a sense with the powers they were given. And meanwhile, we have our main group, our subgroup, and our power group, right? We have the Aki Sensei group that leaves on a bus to traverse to a different world, we're assuming. We have the rest of the students under the student council that leaves in their cube and their arc to find a place where they belong. And then we have our main cast, in which Raj leaves on his own to explore the sea on a boat. And we have
What
the rest of
base?
the three together to figure out what they want to do, and knows of me being depressed and not knowing if she wants to go back anymore because she might die.
We also still have Ace's group hanging around, who's like,
Yeah.
because they're kind of. I don't
I think- I
he.
think-
I don't. It's
Did
hard
they
to
go with
tell
the
if
student council group?
they might have,
I feel like
but they still frame them as a different faction. Of
Yeah,
like
there's
the,
I think they're a faction within like they're just in the faction because this is the safest option.
because like
right.
you
They've
have,
accepted they're stuck here.
yeah, you have Miss Aki's group who are like, okay, we're
Slaves.
trusting, yeah, they're down that
We're
path.
Nazis.
The slave
You
synth.
have the student council group who's like, okay, Hoshi, what do we do? And he's like, honestly, I don't even talk to God anymore. Let's just go vibe in a cube, bros.
I'm just happy to be me again,
But
dude.
we might be able to find a way someday, maybe. And then you have Ace's
Hey.
group who is just kind of like, so we have these powers. We're graduated. We're free. We can do what we want. We're gonna try to find something. And then you have
Find a
our
place we
group
belong.
who's just kind of, they're each kind of solving their own thing. And Raji's is, I'm gonna go explore the ocean and see if I
I'm gonna
fucking
come.
find anything.
I'm going to understand the entire universe now.
He's gonna
I will
come
be
back in
We also
Super
forget that,
Saiyan
like,
mode.
so we also didn't even cover the main
Well,
story
yeah.
of this episode, by the way.
Nope, not yet.
That's just the outside of the actual core of the episode. In the actual core of the episode, we have Raj who has this ant farm that he's observing, and he's like, I just want to watch what happens because they go in the same places and eventually they eat each other until only one survives. And then our boy Nagro's like, no, that's wrong. I gotta free these ants. Grabs it and runs away. Goes to let go of the ants and sees just a children's like swing bar that you see at like a playground. And he goes on monkey bars and he lifts himself up and spins around and goes, haha, I did it. And then flies up to the sky because it flips the world upside down and transports him to this other world where he doesn't actually have his power of drifting, in which they are building a tower downwards, basically, to reach heaven is the goal, right? And they just keep going. They've been here for thousands of years. As it turns out, well, first off, he makes a friend who's this awkward kid who we meet, and kind of explains how the world is functioning and why people are here, and like, yeah, we're all just like drifters that ended up here that had nowhere else to be. And so it's like it's a mine shaft basically where they have to just carry blocks down and build this tower downwards, the spiral. And so what happens is he basically hears about like there's just shooting stars that you see in the cave sometime that, maybe you can catch one and make a wish, right? And so they go exploring for shooting stars and end up in this cave with his buddy. And he remembers something he saw from Raj, where it's not shooting stars, it's webbed string that sticks so that these plants can eat their food. And his buddy walks into it and gets fucking ripped to shreds. We don't see that on camera, but we hear it on camera, and that's fucked.
And we see
then-
his water bottle fall to the floor.
And that's when our sunny boy here, Nagar, starts to realize, wait a minute, everything's just upside down. This is wrong. I don't like this. I hate this. I'm changing this. And he starts just carrying bricks back upwards until he gets a meeting with the two managers, basically. And because his performance is like -27 a day for an entire week. And he gets brought up into this room where he talks to the sockhead guy. I'm not really good with names here because there's a lot of them. But effectively,
I don't know if we get a name for
he
him.
basically
It's
explains.
Sugashima.
he basically explains he figures out the world and steps out onto this crevasse mirror, and as he steps into the void, it flips again in one of the fucking sickest cuts I've seen since we were in the cube looking down
Mhm.
2 episodes ago, in which he flips up and understands, oh, the world's just been upside down the whole time. In reality, they are building this Tower of Babel. And so she ends up going down in this case again, which is the bottom of the tower, and finds someone he knew from his past who is actually his senpai, who is probably about good 5 to 10 years older than him, who he called weird as a kid. His kid was like a bat kid is what they called him basically because he could hang upside down really well on the monkey bars. Who just kind of decided, okay, you solved it. Maybe you do have potential to get us out of here to a degree, and doesn't blame him anymore. And then basically just says, fuck all your council. Anyone tries to fuck with my boy Nagra has to fuck with me first.
You're
We also see that
upside
they have
down now.
we also see that they have like the Schrodinger's Bible of Nagra, like is what it felt like. I don't know what that book says. I don't know how these fortune tellers created a book on him, but I guess
So-
that's the thing. And that's
Yeah.
I think I covered most of this. Also, Amakaze came and met
There's-
up with the group again
there's
at
a
the end of
cou-
the episode.
Amakaze.
There's a couple of things that like I have different interpretations
back to
of
MCS,
for
your boy.
sure. But I know Mason wants to talk, so
I'm sorry.
That's fucking
no, you're
crazy, dude.
good.
So like this did a lot of like cleaning up of the stuff that happened last week, where it was like we have a clear there is a God God hates you, we're going to fuck your whole worldview of this place up now.
I thought you were gonna say we're
So
gonna
no.
fuck God.
Oh God, that's what I said.
Don't fuck the principal.
Don't fuck
So like
the
we had the
lion.
whole bit about like Hoshi can't talk to God anymore. Nozomi just isn't as bubbly and like happy as she was because she realizes that she's dead.
Crazy. That does take a little out of you.
Yeah, a little bit. Just it's a lot of like cleaning up the mess of like what happened and seeing where they go from here. But also the excuse me. One thing that I thought was kind of neat was they call him Komori at this like adrift meeting with all of the like hosts of the worlds. They call him Komori. I forget what his title is.
Like Komori the Executioner or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And then after Nagara steps out onto the thing and flips the world upside down, but before he actually talks to him, it cuts to a scene where he's like, it's the scene that Dodge was talking about where it's like, oh, who's that kid? He's weird. That's Komori. And then it then cuts to him talking to Komori. So it's like you kind of have like a quick like, oh, it's the same guy. But
Also, I'm
very
pretty
like,
sure that the way they do that is like his name is Komori, the bat, which I believe if the actual line they spoke was his name is Komori, the Komori.
yeah,
I think Komori just translates
To
to
bat.
bat. Or something.
it translates to bat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, haha, it's funny.
I guess I interpret
Japan.
this. I either interpret this scene a little farther or a little differently, right? Because the beginning of the show makes it seem like they're like Komori's gonna go out there and he's gonna deal with him. We don't know how he's gonna deal with Nagara, but he's gonna deal with Nagara. And the idea is that Komori's going out there already knowing who Nagara is, so how he deals with him is a test. And to me, I interpret it as Komori wants to see how Nagara's changed since their literal one encounter that we know of, which was when Nagara's mom, or whoever's with him, I would assume it's his mom based on the context we have, basically goes, yeah, this kid wasn't very good at doing these flips, but then worked really hard and is now. And Nagara's like, no. And now we have Nagara as a character who, this episode's a growth episode for not like capping his growth that he's already been having over the past couple of episodes. And Komori basically looks at him and goes, yeah, you figured it out. You figured out that you could do this. The way you've acted, the way that I've liked for this test to go. You can go do this. Trap, like it's a very satisfying episode for Nagara and to watch for him. But I also don't necessarily think that everyone blames him. I think it's like a group decision not to let them on the cube just because not everyone there is comfortable. I don't think it's everyone thinks Nagara's
No, I don't
at
think the
fault.
cube hates
Yeah.
them. I think that the overworking world hates them.
Yes, and that's
Yeah,
the
it's
important.
by
That's the
everyone. It's
important thing. Like we've transitioned Nagara from being like his class's antagonist or the cause of their conflict to
They're
now
pariah.
being like the
world's pariah.
and that I feel like that's an important distinction because this episode just opens the entire world up. And in the same way, when Nanami Dog speaks and is like,
Not me, dog.
and it's like, this is your power, like you've been given it, you didn't have a choice. I don't really see that as him going, you're at fault. I see it as him going, you're not at fault. You had no control over this.
Yeah, don't let it beat yourself up, kid.
What you do with it is what's going to be important. And that's kind of what this episode shows.
One thing too, this is just a side note that I thought was really funny. Think about how Komori uses his power to fly. Just imagine that for a second.
He
he's
just
just
changes.
holding-
He just changes
he's
gravity
holding the-
constantly.
So what he's doing is he's holding the umbrella, and then he's flipping the umbrella every time, as well as flipping gravity. That's all he's doing. And it's really funny to think about. I'm just like on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off.
It's a really cool concept, though.
It's
I
also
agree.
a really great play on the fact that often like bats being animated as umbrellas a lot, or like pretending to be umbrellas because of similar shape and movements, and like it's a really cool thing aesthetically. In the same way, like with the scene that for
also
sure,
bats hang upside
well,
down.
yes.
Yeah.
Also, bad thing. Bad thing.
Like the scene for sure that I think is the most compelling in this episode is the whole collective, obviously, because it runs through to the scene where this kid dies. But Nagara climbing and being like, God, can we take a break? And the kid being like, it's just like building the tower, my man. You just gotta keep going. He's like, but what's the point of going? And Nagara's just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be stuck in this world's, this like the plan someone's designed for me. I don't like that. And that's very not Nagara for the first 3-4 episodes of Sunny Boy. It's very much more of Nozomi. And it's and as we're losing kind of this character, like the type of person Nozomi's been after her experience, having Nagara kind of come into his own in that right makes that scene very satisfying to watch him be like, nah, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this. And then he just fucking watched this kid die, and he's like, know what? Yeah, no, I'm changing this. Fuck this. This isn't right.
He
I
dies,
know
but he also
it's-
doesn't die because like people can't actually die in these worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can feel
It's even
pain though.
Oh, he puts a lot of pain.
the
I don't
thing-
remember.
The thing that I like too, I pointed out when we were watching it, was the foreshadowing that the beginning bit with Raj has for the rest of this episode, because it's talking about worker ants
Mhm.
just eventually dying out because they just can't sustain it. Same thing in this tower where it's like these are just students that are getting treated like just workers and that's it, and slaves. And Nagara just points out and goes, nope, not dealing with this. Bye, and throws it away. I just thought that was nice.
There are a couple of moments I just love in this episode, in addition to the fact that like Nagara has this compassion towards animals and insect, like anything that's living, that like we started to see continue to grow, like with the bird metaphor, and now to these ants where he's like, I'm freeing these ants, fuck you, Raj. I enjoyed that scene. I love the scene at the end when Raj is leaving, and like, because two different parts of this. The scene where is it Mizuho?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where she's like, yeah, my cat broke your Buddha statue, and I bought you a different one to replace it. And he's like, how many times did it happen? She's like, 3.
Yes.
It's
That was
really,
so
it's
fucking
really
adorable.
nice, really good.
I love her.
And then the fact that Raj only fully hugs Nagara out of the group, like he just like he takes the hugs from
That's his
everyone
fucking-
else,
that's
but then
his
he
fucking
full
boy.
hugs Raj.
That's his
Raj
homie,
full
man.
hugs him.
It's so
Ah.
wholesome.
It's like it's this shit.
And the bit
That was so
where
good.
the bit where he gives Nagara the like holdover, and he's just like, yeah, there's no power. It just smells like sunshine.
I know you'd like it.
I know you would like
It'll
it.
anchor
And he's just
you.
like,
It'll never not. And in a world that's always changing, here's a constant. Have it.
Yeah, because you need this.
I like
It's
Sunny
just-
Boy so much, and then my brain also watches it, and I'm like, I have to have so much of my brain functioning for it, and it just feels like there are some parts that are so loosely threaded together that I'm like, okay, yeah, that happened. Okay, yeah, that happened. And for me, that's why like I have to put it a little lower. It's just because like I could sit down and watch Vanitas and be like, yes, this is what I want. These are my characters. This is going. And Sunny Boy does that, but it makes me work more, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But right now, my brain's like, I don't want that. So like again, this top four like is so difficult because I love things about all four of these shows.
Mm-hmm. God, it's just so good. Like, it's so good at being so weird because like it answered so many questions this episode and then opens it up for so many more. Like it does a good job of like keeping you like nodding like okay, and then also making you go what?
It worried me that
do you
Nozomi
mean?
was gonna go with them. And just like from the way they were
Be
framing
gone?
it for a minute, and then like obviously she's left behind, but I was like, oh shit, is she just gonna leave them? Because
She just doesn't know what she wants to do is the thing.
like it could have happened that way.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Nagara gets the book from his buddy, and is the note supposed to be marking Azukaze's actual power? Is that the importance of that scene? Because I want to make sure. Or is it?
I think it's just an overarching book to understand what everyone can do.
I know, but there's that cross-out mark, and the thing written above it is "Create Worlds." And
That was Nagara's power.
Is it
That would've been
Nagara? I
Nagara's.
thought we distinguished that his world's not exactly
No,
right, because we
his
know
whole thing-
Azukaze's is technically destroying, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the difference,
The idea
right.
is that Nagara literally creates them instead of
Yes.
moving you between them.
Right.
Is the
Yeah.
idea. That was our distinction we got.
I was trying to. I'm trying to keep in my head for the future why how that scene will be important for the future, because we don't really get to dive into it too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. The show's really good.
I love
it's really
this
crazy.
cast.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So much shit going on.
I also like
I-
how the only scene this episode where we get music is them walking into the
Dude, so
falling
good.
star
It's
cave.
Yeah,
well, it's also there's
also
also music
good.
at the end where he's walking down the tower too, which is also really good.
Ah, it's all ambiance for
Well,
90%
it's
of
all
it.
it's all for it starts at that scene. I think it just continues through.
Yeah, it might have the
Yeah.
music the whole way through.
And
from
it's like
there.
perfect ambiance too. Can we talk about that too? Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's perfect like ambiance. It's like nothing intrusive. It's just like the exact music you would expect to have in that situation that you're in.
It's super jazzy, and I love that track. The
Mhm.
one that's playing when they go into the glowworm room.
Also, him fucking breaking when he goes to eat the spider. The kid pulls up. He's like, "Yes, I want that." And then he goes, "So good." No, it's not. What the fuck is wrong with me? What? And he
Still a
just
bug.
breaks.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's
"Oh."
still a bug. I don't want to eat this.
The show's so good.
I also really like this character we get to work with Nagara. The scene where they're eating, and Nagara's like, "What would you do if I'm Nagara?" And he just looks at me. He's like, "Well, you wouldn't be. That would be silly.
Well-
You're too nice of a guy." And it's
Yeah.
just you see these kinds of things in different shows and different animations, and like every time those kind of lines hurt. And this character is just the perfect version of that kind of character to deliver this line. Like he feels like he's written so well for his purpose, for being a character we're probably never gonna see again, except maybe in an offhand shot later.
Hmm.
It's just-
I also
you never know what's gonna
my
happen.
brain the entire time wanted there to be an importance to at the
For-
end of every one of his things saying nothing more.
For all we
I
know,
think the idea is that
by the way-
they only exist in there, nothing more, nothing less, nothing more. They are just building this tower.
nothing more. I think that was just him being like brainwashed, basically, to live in this world forever.
Yeah.
Like,
It's-
which is interesting. It's a world that they chose to set up this way as the host. Which, by the way, they're called hosts. That
Mhm.
hosts are basically people that control an individual world, and then you have Beatnik, which is a accumulation of the hosts of different worlds that are able to travel between using these power left holdovers. But yeah, it was interesting in that case because it's like he set up this world basically saying like, this is how I'm keeping everybody safe from the rest of this existence. Basically, like they're just gonna work here for the rest of their lives because it is safe. That is why. Nothing more, nothing less. Basically. And so I think it's an interesting take because it's like yeah, they're not doing harm per se, but like, I mean, are they even people anymore? You know,
Yeah.
like it's still a question of like, how does this all get resolved? Does it get resolved? What happened? Who knows? We'll find out,
I
won't
can't
we?
wait for Nago to fucking kill God.
I can't wait for Nagara to look God in the face and say, "Is this because you have no friends?"
You look like someone who doesn't have
Are you
many
ready? Are you ready for the
This
friends.
reveal
treasure was
that?
the
Are you ready
friendship
for
that
the?
we made along the
Are you ready
way.
for the reveal that God is just old Nagara?
Are you ready for God to be revealed as
Actually,
Xehanort
I
in the
wouldn't be
third
surprised
timeline?
about that. Sean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't
can't wait for the
do
reveal
this.
that this is just it's Kingdom Hearts 4.
just-
It's actually connected to Kingdom Hearts 4.
Are you ready for the Sunny Boy world in Kingdom Hearts 4?
Let's go.
That'd be fucking.
That
wicked.
would.
Anyway,
I
Sean,
Is
have you
this
seen
Ted?
that
Is
house
this
voting?
is this
She
is this a Square Enix property?
No, it's Madhouse.
no, not at all.
Well, there
No,
are a
but
couple of names in that credit world. Cloverworks is in there.
Let's not talk about that. Credit World.
Vanitas is a Square Enix property.
I know it is. It's really
Wait,
funny.
what?
Yeah, but he's
Yeah,
Square
Vanitas
Enix
is
Yo,
a Square Enix
property.
property.
Can't wait for the Vanitas World in KH4.
I had this ready. I just hadn't linked it yet. Oops, that's
I
not.
know.
That's not supposed to be there.
What'd you do?
There we go. Much better. It wasn't supposed to open in that window.
Oh.
Oh man, this season's just so good, dude.
We have a
It's
really-
starting to get really hard, really fast.
I'm
all I
just
have to
glad that
say.
I enjoy everything we're watching.
I agree.
That's like at this point, like I would even be fine continuing to watch Girlfriend on my end. Like it just I won't. I'm not like I could, but I won't.
I'm not going to.
This is one of those where I'm like I'm fine. I have other things I'd rather be watching. Also, we are slowly approaching the point where we're gonna have few shows left in relation to like technically how much time we have to dedicate to watching. So, podcast talk. If we're actually interested in doing some of the things we've talked about, we're getting close to the time period where now might be a smart idea to consider it.
Yeah.
Though Michael and I are starting school, and Dodge is going to be starting school.
Let's not talk about that.
I work.
My school
Don't mind
schedule is
about
actually
that.
pretty nice, though. My Monday
not
and
talk about
Tuesdays are
school.
busy,
We're
but
not talking
I'm
about
pretty
school here.
free
Nope.
after that.
We're not talking about school. No,
John, you do actually have a good like schedule on it though, from what you were telling me.
I'm gonna die. My stress levels are through the roof. Dude, I'm sipping that tasty cortisol right now.
So yeah, y'all let me
Feel like
know
about
if y'all
cortisol.
want to talk about One Piece week by like arc by arc.
I was looking at my list of things I've watched. If we were to do one of those like pick a 12-episode show and have us all watch it and then talk about it, I was like, what would I pick that you guys haven't seen, or that like
Yeah,
at
that's the
least
issue.
some
A
of
lot
you
of us have
haven't
like
seen?
seen all this stuff.
Like what's something that like I think's really I have some ideas for sure that I was thinking of where I'm like I know I've definitely seen this. I don't think everyone else has.
I have some, or we could like just hit the random button.
True.
Or we could just
Because
start like
all of my funny shows are things that somehow these two fucking chuckleheads have watched, and it's like, god damn it!
or we could
Like
just
I'm
start
like, yeah, I'll
rot-
go through fastest finger first, and both of them have fucking watched it.
or we
Really
could just
fun.
start rotating through some of the
whatever.
good shows and just watch
Yeah.
them. Just talk
True.
about them. I'd love to. I could write a fucking thesis on Snafu, dude, and how that
Huh?
is like the
Same.
most realistic story I've read or heard of in all of anime. Like in terms of like characters and development and progression. And just talking about what makes shows great
I
in
was
general.
thinking,
Like
have you guys seen Hinamatsuri?
that's a word.
No.
Oh,
I have seen MK Leo fighting Tweak in grand finals again for the 76th time.
we love to see
Yo.
it.
Actually crazy how he came back from down 0-2 to Spargo against Spargo with his Joker. Oh man, MK Leo is actually just the greatest player in the world. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's actually crazy.
Leo's too fucking good. He needs to
Like,
be nerfed.
he might not win this because Tweak's Diddy's kind of reinvented him,
Hmm.
but some of it's
I
sick,
mean-
dude. I made a tweet to this just that I will not play Smash Ultimate after watching Summit. I will not play Smash Ultimate after watching Summit.
You were playing Smash Ultimate after watching
Playing
Summit.
Smash
Damn,
Ultimate
you
before we
both
started the
failed.
podcast. It hurts.
By the way, guys,
It just looks so fun.
I have the votes, and only 2 shows have slays on them. Want to guess what they are?
No,
Girlfriend and Dungeon.
is it 2-2 or 3-2?
It's 3-1.
Damn it, Mason, you betrayed.
It's girlfriend has 3 slays. Black
Coulda brought
Company
us the
has
wheel,
1,
Mason.
Everything else is safe.
We could have brought it to the wheel. You are right. That's my bad.
That's the only reason why I didn't vote for girlfriend. I'll be honest, because I was hoping for the wheel.
This is a very powerful week. This will go down and probably be the only example of this where the same show is voted off on both podcasts that aired back to back. So, this is the week of slaying girlfriend at different points in the show, mind you, but
What I don't get is why they're still fine with Moonlight Fantasy, but they're not fine with Girlfriend.
hey, Moonlight's fine. Moonlight's not the problem.
Oh, sorry, not Moonlight.
Mother
The
of Goddesses.
Mother of Goddesses Dormitory. That's the
Ladies
one.
and
I did.
gentlemen, if you think I talk too much on this show about shows, watch me not say a word about Mother Goddess's Dormitory. I have nothing to say anymore. I'm hoping that if I don't talk about it, there'll be no reason to keep it around, because then it will just be boring, and we could just vote it off for that reason, because
We'll just pretend it doesn't exist.
that's the hope. I still gotta watch it, unfortunately, because that side of the podcast likes to go,
God,
are you sure you watched the episode? Let's pop quiz each other. I'm like, really? We're gonna do this week? We're gonna pop quiz each other?
eat my ass?
If you're not watching the shows for the podcast, why the fuck are you on my podcast?
Fuck out of here. Cough, cough, Jackman, cough, cough.
What do you mean? Jackman 100% watched
Jackman watched
everything.
at least half the shows we watched.
What do you mean? DJ totally didn't miss a whole episode that one week.
I'm fine if you miss an episode here and there, but Jackman and Tommy were just straight up not watching
Oh,
shit
yeah,
because they didn't like it.
we knew Tommy wasn't watching Taiso all the way through Taiso.
Which I can't blame him. Like, that was like a lot of anime to catch up on.
I know,
but
that was unfortunate
Also, can
for
blame
him.
him because, like,
But
oh,
also
man.
very unfortunate because he was like, God, I hate Taiso. I'm like, bro, you're not even watching it and it gets good.
What do you mean you hate it? You don't watch it. It's actually good.
Yeah, so we will be saying goodbye to, or harem,
Donkey.
one of them. Man, Velis is a harem. We still have not fleshed that out at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So more
Although-
realist talk, by the way,
although-
in reading it. What's
Yeah.
her name is officially his adopted sister, technically,
Oh,
but not actually because he's not
Wolf-
married yet.
Wolfchild.
Yeah, Wolfchild is officially her sister, and there's a cute scene where before they do the chef thing, they're like, "No, we're related now. You should call me Big Brother Soma." And it says, "Oh, Big Brother Soma," and then you have Lycia's like, "Call me Big Sister too." Oh, Nay-san, yes, woo! And then you just have, the other one of the other ones just go, "Can we get back on task now?" It was his advisor, Blackbird.
Yeah.
Hakia.
Hakia. He's just like, now that we're done with the sidetracking.
I muted during last night's podcast while we were talking about Peach Boy because my brain remembered a detail about the manga, and so I muted on both stream and on Discord so no one could hear me. I turned to Michael when, by the way, plot point that we haven't gotten to yet in Peach Boy, because it happens when they meet the witch, is that the Imperial Oni pulls her aside and is like, hey, I know you're not an Oni anymore, but you also still have, like, your nature-like powers, so I know you can contact me. So why don't you spy on them? And if you tell me what all I need to know about Sally, I'll bring you back in as an Oni. And it makes every scene with Carrot where she's, like, questioning, like, Sally, and she's questioning, like, herself, and, like, whether or not she's an Oni, even more, like,
Which side she's
impactful.
actually playing
Because
here.
it's like, because you know she's technically working for the Imperial Oni still.
But like maybe she's actually just turning face.
I can't wait
here.
till I can
She's a
actually
couple
just
agents
fucking
to
read
play.
that manga, but I still we're not far enough yet that in the other podcast where I'm allowed to continue to spoil myself.
That's me with Horimiya, dude. I'm glad I reread Horimiya, by the way, and realized, man, they could have done so much more with that. There could have been at least like 4 more volumes. I'd been happy. There's still so much more just like, character do the character thing. I like characters. Character good. Happiness. And then they're like, by the way, it's over. And you're like, oh,
Why?
sad.
After story.
But you could have had like 2 to 3 seasons of anime instead of putting at least 15 to 16 novels in 13 episodes. That didn't need to happen, but it did.
Still good though.
It's still
On the bright side,
good.
at least we can be more realist tomorrow
Still good.
at work.
I'm excited for this next upcoming week. There's gonna be some good anime. Or just
I just can't wait for-
everything could just be bad. Everything could have the worst week possible. You know, we could have recap episodes for every show again.
Everything could get Joron.
Oh, remake of life could just be bad for 4 episodes. It won't be, but it could be.
It could be.
True.
You're right.
Aren't you guys glad we don't have to wait for it now every week?
What do you
Because
mean?
we
Yeah,
literally, we
do.
would literally just finish the podcast and be like, "We're watching remake now."
I didn't do that.
We didn't do that either. We waited until like Wednesday to watch.
It's Wednesday, my dude.
It's Wednesday, my dudes.
Ah.
We will talk to everyone later. Have a great night. Join us next week. It'll be Labor Day weekend.
Shit, you're right.
Yep.
My last free week.
Bless you. See ya, everybody.